Hey, I'm Mark,
And I'm Chris.
and we're the leftovers.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
I did not agree to that.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Mark.
What are you doing today, Chris?
Laughing.
You are. Laughing is good. I like laughing.
yeah,
You like laughing?
I do.
It's way better than crying.
Especially when it's at your expense.
Well, here we go. What is greed, Chris?
Greed is wanting everything for yourself.
It is.
Nothing for anyone else.
Does that ever work out for us?
Not usually.
You would be surprised. Hold on for the next hour to find out. How does greed help you?
Well, I mean, it benefits people, but for the majority of people, when you're greedy, it doesn't usually work out in your favor. But, I mean, businesses can show you differently.
Give to the needy and not to the greedy.
All right, Robin Hood.
All right, I looked it up. Webster's says greed is an insatiable desire for material gain or social value such as status or power.
A debutante.
Something like that. Greed is an insatiable desire for material gain. I want more for me. It's an
It's a human desire.
overruling power in your life. Like, I've got to have it. I've got to have it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to get it.
We have a lot of that today in our society.
Another description was greed is also defined as a selfish or excessive desire for more of something such as money in your life. A selfish or excessive desire. Not saying wanting more is wrong. It's okay to want more. But when you have that excessive selfishness of more, that's where it's greed.
When you let that want for the more rule everything you do, that's when it gets to greed.
A lot of times, wealthy people, we look at wealthy people as greedy for whatever reason. This could or could you have a reason?
Why we look at people, rich people, as greedy, because majority of people that are wealthy, the stigma is they've done anything and everything possible to step on people to make that money. They didn't really care about others. They spent every waking moment to try to get that next dollar, try to get more money.
That's only if we believe they earned it. They could have inherited it.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to step on anybody. So the stigma we place on them could or could not be true.
Correct. But that's with everything.
It's what we get. It's what we get for judging. That's a different episode. Write that down.
I'll put it on the list.
Put it on the list. Again, we look at wealthy people a lot of times as greedy. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Just for the sake of argument, I wrote down a little something here, Chris, just for you. We'll say that is true, that wealthy people are greedy. We'll just say that's true. So, if super wealthy people are greedy, what causes them to be greedy? I believe a drive for more stuff causes them to be greedy. Let's say you take a greedy person, i.e., in this case, a wealthy person. You give them $100,000 in an account. So it's free, no taxes. It's your money. Do what you want to with it. Is the greedy person going to spend all that money and expect more? Or are they going to take that money, the $100,000 that we've given them, no taxes, no charges? Are they going to take that $100,000 and try to turn it into more? As a greedy person.
In all honesty, a greedy person could be both.
Either one. You're right. That's why I wrote them both down.
Because a greedy person could want other things other than that money, and their greed not actually be the money, it could be what they spent the money on. Whereas the other person who is greedy invested their money because all they were thinking about is, I want more of this, I need more of this, because
I want some more retirement. Give me more retirement. That could be greed, right? I'll put my 100,000 in my retirement. I'll make more when I retire. Is that greed, or is that just planning? I mean,
at that point, that's planning.
Okay.
The thing about greed is that's all you. That's your main drive for everything is money, money, money.
Well, or other things. Yeah.
But
in this case, we're talking about
this case, we're talking about money. Whereas the whole driver behind that is, I want more money. It's like that adage.
You want to sing it.
What?
Money, 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 money.
No, I'm wanting to think of the commercial on TV. It's my money and I want it now.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, I think it's used to be J.G. Wentworth. 877 cash now.
Seen that, yeah.
But they had a commercial of
877. Free promotion.
I believe it was them who, there was one where people were lifting up their windows. It's my money and I want it now.
I must not watch commercials.
I mean, I don't watch a lot of commercials except for
I actually
football.
like commercials.
I hate them.
We've discussed that before.
Yes, that was another conversation.
Another show. Another time and another place.
But I mean, that kind of, when it leads to the majority of your thoughts, that's when I believe it's greed.
Excessive.
Yes.
What the original thing said there. Excessive. Not just considering I need to put more money in my retirement or I need to get more money, but when it gets to be excessive.
Okay, but I'm ruining your show timeline.
You're good.
When somebody is hurting for money, and then because they're hurting because their child needs braces, their child needs glasses, their child needs this, or they need any of that stuff, and they're thinking about the money, is that greedy?
Well, it's not excessive.
But is it not if that's
It's extreme, but it's not excessive.
But is it not excessive when it's, you got to find the next thing to worry about that I need money
Not
for?
if that's your lifestyle. If your lifestyle is working to get to the next bill, that's not greed. That's just your lifestyle. It's your excessive. There's going to be a problem on Friday because I just got the paycheck and majority of it's already spent. 125% of it is spent. You know what I'm saying?
No,
that's not greed. That's a lifestyle.
But going off of the definition of what you just gave,
Excessive want for the next thing. Like if you just take glasses, for example, your kid needs glasses and you have worked overtime to provide glasses. That's not greed, but if you got them a pair of glasses and then you thought they need 7 more pair.
So
and
it's not,
you do
not,
whatever you can to get the next 7 pair of glasses for your child. That's greed.
So it's not the excessive want for it. It's the, you need something, but then after the need, it's the excessive.
That's where the excess come from. Yeah.
See, I heard it differently I heard it differently in my head than what you had said.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure everybody does. I hope it comes off the way we're saying it, but it's going to hit different for different people. It's going to come out of their speakers a little different. Greed can make us work really hard, just like we were talking about to get the glasses for the child. Work itself is not in question here if someone is greedy or not. You can be a hard worker and you're not greedy. Working hard, there's nothing wrong with that. That is not greed at all. I don't think.
There's plenty of people out there that don't work hard for anything
Yeah.
that are greedy.
Right. And want more and work less. That's the opposite of what I think I'm talking about here. But let's just say you take a lot of let's see. That's here we go again. A person can put in 60, 70, 80 hours a week because they want more and more and more. Is that greed when they do that? You know, they started out working out 40. They work 40 hours, and they're getting their bills paid. The kids are fed. The wife's happy. And so, hey, as a couple, hey, honey, if you work 42 hours, we'll be able to have hamburgers on Friday. It works 42 hours. But if you work 47 hours, we could possibly afford another car. We had 2 cars, then we'd be in a lot better shape because then I can get a job. If you work 60 hours, you know, maybe we'll get another house. Well, if you work 80 hours, is that greed? We just said work is not necessarily greed, but in this scenario, is it greedy?
I wouldn't think so, because you're not.
That's excessive. More. There's not a point there that you're saying that's enough. We've got enough. That is more. And to me, that falls into the category of greed.
See, to me, though, I see it as somebody who is willing to put in the time to make that money to not only make life better for them, but also their families. Why is it so wrong that someone wants to give their family not necessarily more, but better quality?
And more.
No.
Quality, yes, but an improvement on what you had, yes,
okay.
More.
Say working from the 40 to 80 hours is for your kids' schooling, to put them in private school. You're not giving them more school.
Yeah, but now you're going to be away from them twice as much. How much are you really helping
them? I agree with that statement.
It's a good thing, but you have the right.
But I don't don't see that as greedy.
Well, I mean,
because
it is excessive to work 80 hours. This is all.
I agree that it is excessive to work 80 hours.
And you're going to be away from your family the whole week. You know, at that point, you're not going to see them.
But at the same time, it's not greedy.
Is it worth it?
Not greedy to do it for the betterment of your family. You can do something.
So just because it's improving their lifestyle, it's not greed.
You have to give me time to think on these things, because it's not a simple yes or a simple no. It's a complicated mix, because there are certain times where you think that it's doing better, but in all actuality,
I think it's greedy for someone to work 80 hours. A guy, we'll use a guy because we're guys. A guy to work 80 hours a week to provide his child. We'll use your example. Your child gets to go to a private school now because father works 80 hours. I think that's greedy. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Possible.
Greedy on whose part? Is it greedy of the children?
No, the mother and the father.
So it's the greed of the mother and
Yes.
father.
Not the child at all. The child would rather have their father home.
Okay. Say the father only works 40 hours a week.
Yes.
But they're still able to go to the private school.
Okay.
And
then he shouldn't have worked 80 in the first place.
it's a different guy.
Okay. Different guy. 40 hours.
But he believes that giving his children the best of everything is making them better. They've got the best technology. They've got the newest phone. They've got the their uniform that they use is dry cleaned and pressed.
Okay.
Because he wants them to have the best to success, to have that success. is the parent greedy then?
Yes.
Is the child greedy then?
No, I'm not putting the child in that greed right there because the child's broke. They don't have anything. They have what mom and dad give them.
I knew of quite a few kids that.
Kids without a job are broke.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Okay. But I went to school with people that like they had to have
excess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The kids had to have the excess.
That was on mom and dad. The child will take anything you give them. You know why? Because they're broke.
Yeah.
But the mom and dad wants the kid to keep up airs like they do. Mom and dad's driving the new whatever the new thing is, and they look good, so the kid can't look bad. They can't be walking around with a 8-year-old cell phone. They gotta have the newest, latest, right?
I guess if you want to keep up appearances, but
yeah, and that's what we're talking about. So we have an ex-president, I will not mention the name, that claimed he was very greedy. That's how he got to where he was to that point in his life. And his plan was to be greedy for the country. Question: can you be greedy for others?
Yes.
How does that work?
Like we were just talking about, parents and kids. But
the greed does not lend itself to your children. They do not have the greed that you have to help them to quote unquote succeed or look good or whatever the end game is. That.
But your parents are being greedy for you, just like I
think in the scenario we used, I think the parents are being greedy for the parents in that scenario. I don't think they're being greedy for the children at all.
Why? How are they not being greedy for the children at all?
Because they want their kids to keep up appearances.
Okay.
It's not for the kid. It's for mom and dad.
But the kid might want to be like that as well.
Well, yeah, because that's all been put before them.
Okay, so the parents are being greedy for the kids.
Can I use it? Tomato?
No.
Why?
Because it's...
But we always use it. We've used it every episode for the last 3 weeks.
Well, you just said it, so you said it. We don't have to actually use it.
But I like it when you come back with your saying.
Zucchini tomato?
Something like that.
Because, I mean, okay, going back to that,
mm-hmm.
It is still giving it... You're then teaching the child that's the way it's supposed to be, to where they're going to grow up to be greedy. You're still being greedy for the kid.
Are you saying greedy like the dance? Gritty?
No, I'm not saying gritty. I'm saying greedy.
I know. I make jokes, Chris. That's what I'm here for.
Well, as far as I knew, you were for the book reading knowledge. Because
there was this moth. Shout out to Norm McDonald.
Because you're the one who does all the research and everything, and I come in and give you stuff off the top of my head. And we know how well that goes. Not good at all.
So the question I ask, can you be greedy for others? My meaning, can you work really hard for someone else with your greed at the front, wanting them to improve? I believe this to be nearly impossible. Or someone's greed. Let's say they are the ones working 60 to 80 hours like we mentioned before. How is that going to help others? Financially, the only way... it's okay. Here's where we're at, Chris.
Okay.
If I all of a sudden wanted you to have a $3 million home,
I would greatly appreciate it.
And I wanted you to do, well, no, that's not a good example. I just can't put in my mind how, if I was a greedy person, how me being greedy would ever influence you to be greedy. I just don't see that happening. I don't want to use a parent and a child in this situation because children are always, most of the time, going to see mom and dad and react to mom and dad.
Okay.
How do you be greedy for somebody else? I just don't think you can.
Okay. So, like, you were talking about the president. I'll go ahead and say who it is. You're talking about Donald Trump.
Maybe I was not.
You are, because I know of your hatred of Donald Trump.
No, it was a video I watched. He was on it.
Okay.
I looked up greedy. He popped up.
He can be greedy by
No, that was his statement that I read.
Okay. He can be greedy for the country by wanting the best for the American people, whether it's...
But if you get something greedily, say that 3 times. If you get something under the pretense of greed, is it worth having?
Like...
let's say in excess, which was the definition. If any president, it don't have to be Trump or Joe Biden or anybody, just generic president, is going to get the U.S. a contract with another country to make
widgets.
I like that. And in order to get that contract, he had to, I'm going to use a word here, greedily get that contract, meaning to excess, meaning probably wrongdoing, maybe even crossing the line of legal and illegal. Is it worth at that point
But
to
how
get
would
that?
you go about that?
Well, it's a scenario here that I'm making up in my head as we go along. I don't know of a situation that exists in my mind where that kind of thing actually could happen, because that's a great number of zeros at the end of a check right there.
Well, I can give it to you.
Give it to me, Chris.
Okay. Say that we are trying to sell our oil that we get out of the ground here.
Okay.
And there's another country that is doing the exact same thing.
Okay. Canada.
Okay, Canada. They're trying to do the exact same thing, but they're trying to be competitive with us. Well,
Are we using or selling?
selling.
Okay.
I mean, that's how you make money, is to sell things.
You can use it too and make money.
Well, you could.
Go ahead.
But, so you're selling it to...
We're all selling it to Spain.
Okay. Well, Spain's coming in and saying, hey, they're offering it for...
$60 a barrel.
Well,
Just
that's a
use
little
that.
low.
We're using it.
We'll go $100 a barrel.
That's just because you can't add.
I'm just going to quit talking now. man.
$100 a barrel. Okay, here we go. Who's selling for 100? U.S. or Canada?
Canada.
Okay.
U.S. comes in and says, we'll do it for 89 or 98. 89. I had 98 in my head.
89?
We're going to sell it for 98.
All right.
All right. Canada comes back. We'll sell it for 96. All right. Well,
So on and so forth.
we can't go below
90.
selling it for 92. We'll say. We know Canada can't go below 95. The greedy thing to sell it to make that money would be, okay, they're at 95. They got to stop at 95. We can go down to 82.
92.
94. They can't go below 95. We would be making less money per barrel from where we started. But Canada can't take, or Canada wouldn't be able to take that loss.
Do you look at that scenario as greed?
Looking at finding the most money we can possible. That's being
But-
greedy for the country.
Well, if you earn a profit, I don't think every profit earned is greed.
No.
So that would just be earning a profit on the oil that you're selling. I don't think that's greedy. I don't think.
But that's
with the
that's what a lot of
excess,
people would see
excessive.
as being greedy.
Yeah, I don't see that as greed.
Because there's
Greed, in my
there
opinion,
are plenty of people out there that think greed is taking anything over a penny over cost.
yeah,
I don't agree with that either.
no, you're worthy of making a profit.
Yeah.
Can it be excessive? Yeah. If you had a product that sold for $1.25, and all of a sudden, like when we had a pandemic going on, and there was greed over what, Chris?
Toilet papers.
Toilet paper, of all things. I never imagined in my life that we would have a short run on toilet paper, but we did. And man, you got to see people's greed come out in the open, because then not only were they purchasing toilet paper for themselves for the week or for the month or ever how you bought it before, they're buying
it so
3
they could
years
sell it.
worth. They're buying 3 years worth. So now it's not available for everybody. It's available for those that have what? More money.
Okay, but here's a question then. You're on the outside looking in,
That was me.
but what if they're not just buying it to sell it or do anything? They're buying it so that the family next door doesn't have to worry about and going and
Well, that's
fighting
what
these
they
people.
say. I heard that very argument used while that was going on, and I didn't believe it. Because I don't think they were worried about the next door neighbor. They were worried about themselves.
Oh, more
And to
than likely.
me, that is excessive and that is greedy.
But is it wrong for you to look at everybody as being greedy for themselves?
I don't think everyone is. I don't think everyone takes
Okay,
excessive.
we're going
measures.
back to that exact thing. You said you weren't thinking that these people were doing that. They weren't buying it to go
Right.
help the person next door. They were
Correct.
doing it for themselves. You don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 87%.
That's not 100%.
No, it's not.
There could be that.
And if you know my personality, 100% is hard to get to.
true that, but
87 is pretty high.
But still, that mother over there, who is
What's your mouth?
the
calling
mother
people
over there
names.
that is taking 12 packages of the 36 rolls of toilet paper.
Wow. Yeah. It takes money to do that.
Yeah,
Lots of it.
but is she greedy for taking all of that?
Yes.
Why?
They had asked people, just take what you need. And that's tough in that you don't know if there's going to be any more.
Okay,
That's tough.
you have an invalid woman who can't get out of her house.
She deserves a little extra. Yes.
But she's not just doing it for that one woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing it for a apartment complex, for a, let's say, not a nursing home, but a place that is specifically made for elderly people to go there.
Yeah, they're going to have to take their sock off.
That's not greedy if she's doing it for these
But-
people.
But it is
But
it's
because-
hypotheticals.
But because we can't see them, or we can't go inside their mind, we can't follow them and go everywhere.
You know how they got those limits at Kroger?
I honestly don't.
So they have taco shells on sale this week, 3 packs for $3. Limit 2
Limit 2 per customer.
to 3 packs. So when you go in there and you want 12 of them because you got the money for it, no. So that's kind of what they had to do with the toilet paper at the time. It's limit folks for that very reason.
It makes sense.
Sure.
But then again, it doesn't stop them from going to this place, to go right next door to this place, and go right next door to this place. And go,
Witnessed all that. Again, that is just amazing to me that we even lived through that. It's just amazing that really happened. Let's get off the toilet paper. Let's talk.
hey, we use toilet paper a lot. We can talk about this.
Maybe you do.
Okay, I use a lot of toilet paper. I can't help it.
Can we be greedy about other things other than money?
Yes.
Yes. We can have greed for the next level job. Let's think about the next supervisor position available ahead of us.
We can have greed at who's going to be taking control of this podcast.
And if that supervisor is leaving and you want that job, but you're not necessarily in line for it, then do you step on the 3 or 4 in front of you to get to it, to get you more money, to get you a higher position in the job? There are people that will do anything in the world to get that position.
Oh, yeah. I've heard plenty of times where people have lost friendships or relationships with people because they got stabbed in the back.
Mm-hmm. Now, the stabbing in the back thing, I believe that almost everyone in a job situation would. I don't think, sometimes unintentionally, but I believe in about every case it could happen.
See, it's only stabbing in the back if the people, in all honesty, if the people go out of their way to ruin it. If it just happens, it's not considered stabbing. No, if it's just something that happens,
but maybe your words eased it over that way.
Okay, say you're going in for an interview for that position, mm-hmm. and you don't outright say anything disparaging. Mm-hmm. But what
if you heard the other person said something about you first? Do you?
No.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're saying me. Because if we're having this fight with our boss.
No, I'm saying if a person goes into an interview to get the supervisor's job, and that person had heard, hey, that last guy that was in here, he said that you were, he said at lunchtime, you might do some wrong thing. I mean, it could, whatever, fill in the blank. But if you had heard the person before you may have gave you a little something, when you get in the interview, do you give them, well, boss, I don't like to say anything, but when they come into work yesterday, their eyes were really red, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, they have lack of sleep.
But you see what I'm saying? Instead of keeping it on ourselves, when we start hurting other people, that's greed. That's where greed comes into play.
If someone even if someone talks bad about you.
And they're going to. Let me just go ahead and finish that one for you.
Well, they might not.
Oh, yeah?
Somebody might just be.
Not just in the interview, but just in general. You're going to get talked about.
But in the case of the job interview,
mm-hmm.
it would be greedy to then stab the person in the back by disparaging them outright.
But if they knew they could get the job,
it's greed.
Isn't it worth it?
No.
I don't think so either. But I think your personality along with mine is guy. We're not going to hurt somebody.
Both of us, that relationship, I believe, is more important than that job promotion.
But others, not so much.
Other people.
Not so much. Do you need to be greedy in the world today?
No.
Ooh, there's a tough one. Hold on before you answer. You answered too quick. This ain't Jeopardy.
No, but I got to thinking about it, and it's.
I'm glad you did.
Do you need something in excess?
In excess
to just live? No. Mm-hmm. To be successful? No. But to be considered wealthy or rich, then yes.
But rich is subjective. No, if you live in a neighborhood where everybody's
wealth is subjective.
Rich, the word rich is subjective.
Having a lot of money.
If you live in a neighborhood and maybe the majority of the people are on government assistance, they don't have jobs for one reason or another, and you do, and you make $60,000 a year. In their eyes, you're rich. You're wealthy. Whatever you want to put in the line there.
I'd say it'd be rich. Wealth is the material.
What is rich?
Rich is money, 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 money.
You could just say it one time. You didn't have to repeat it.
Rich is when you have liquid asset, liquid cat. I say liquid cash.
You did.
That's what they call it when you can go to the bank, pull that money out, and spend it on something right then and there. Mm-hmm. That's rich. Okay. Wealth is you might hardly have 2 cents to rub together in your bank account, but you own that mansion, you own that Tesla, you own that NBA team or that NFL team, you own this high-rise building with 1,000 tenants. You don't have that outright liquid cash right there, but you have the assets. That's wealth.
Yeah, you lost me when you had the Tesla.
Why did I lose you at the Tesla? Because you hate electric cars. That is disgusting.
Do you need to be greedy in today's world was my question, and I got you owning a Tesla with not 2 cents in your bank account, but you own a high-rise with 1,000 in.
But I wish I had the money in my bank account.
1,000 people living in it. Oh, okay.
No, we
so
got
we're
off
looking
on the whole
at
rich and
greed.
wealth thing.
We're looking at greed as not positive. Do we need to have this attitude in today's world?
No.
I do believe you have to look out for you and yours. You need to, because no one else is doing it. But it's not hurting or harming others to get what you need for you and yours. When you start climbing on the backs of the little ones to get to the big ones, that's greed and that's unnecessary. There's nothing wrong with providing for you and your family, you and your people. Nothing wrong with that.
Can you be greedy without hurting others?
No.
How so?
Because that is what greed is. Stepping on others to get yours.
Not according to
that's
definition.
excessive. When you go get yours, that's one thing. But when you excessively have insatiable desires for material gain or social value, that is greed. When you are selfish and excessive desire for more, that is greed. Nothing wrong with providing for your family. You should. You ought to. But when you're stepping on others to get that, therein lies greed.
I guess you can look at it from that standpoint because through the definition, though, it's just the excess wants of it. Mm-hmm. So even if you're not hurting anybody, you're still excessively...
Yeah, but you're going to go get it. I mean, you're not just going to sit around and want it. Nobody's ever going to know. That's not greedy. If you don't go achieve it, it's not greed. If it just sits around in your mind thinking, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, but you don't, that's not greedy. That's just a weird mind. You got to go get some of that in order to be greedy. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. It's rare, but it's possible.
It's more than rare.
Here's a question for you, Chris. What happens when a person is very generous and they get together with a person who is very greedy? They say opposites attract. Do they say that? I've heard them say it.
Yeah, but the majority of the time when they say that, it's for relationships.
Well, that's what we're talking about here.
Romantic relationship.
Yes, this is a relationship I'm talking about.
A romantic one?
Yes.
Okay.
Can opposites attract?
Yes. Magnets.
If you take a very generous and giving person that material things do not matter, does not mean that much to, and you cross them with a very greedy person that will use the old adage that you've never heard of, but I have. Get all you can all you get, and sit on the lid.
It's not what you said earlier.
It's not what my iPad said. All things are possible, yes. But charitable versus greedy usually does not work out well. If you have a guy, let's use the guy as the very greedy person, and he wants all he can get. Boy, he's working, like we talked earlier, he's working them 80-hour weeks, and he's stepping on who he can step on to get higher in his company. and boy, he's loading it up. He's got it all. Got a home, got some horses, got some trailers, got some equipment, got a couple of, whatever. And he meets up with a female, and she's working at charity events on the weekend, and she works a part-time job at the soup kitchen to help out homeless folks. Are these two people, how are they going to interact? Is that going to be positive? Is that going to be negative? I think they're going to have problems. Go ahead and put that out there. I think there's going to be problems between them.
Yeah.
But can they coexist in a relationship?
They can, but I mean that's where the give and take comes from. Because
Who's giving here? Greedy? No. The charitable girl's going to have to give everything.
But no, that's not what I'm saying. It's the mindset that has to change. That's the give and take. It's either the greedy person has to learn that all of that stuff that he got his mind on isn't as important, and become less greedy until they're at a happy medium, or the charitable person or not so greedy person has to turn it up quite a bit,
Wick it up a little bit.
yeah, so that they can meet that
Meet in the
person
middle.
where they're at.
So she's got to be a little greedy? Is that what we're saying? Him less, her more, meet in the middle?
Well, if it's the greedy person coming down from the greed, that's where you meet in the middle. Whereas that greedy person,
I made him really greedy in that outline there.
yeah,
He's-
but that's where I'm getting at. But if it's coming the opposite way, the not greedy person coming to greedy can't really just meet there in the middle. They're the other person's greedy.
I can tell you
So
what
you're
would
gonna have to
probably
start
happen in
meeting
that
them
scenario.
there.
It's probably the guy. He's going to stop his greediness, and once he gives in, he realizes that he's really weak, and they're both going to work in a soup kitchen from now.
Well, I mean,
I said that in jest there, Chris.
yeah, I know. No, I mean that's where that's where the sexes kind of come into it.
Whoa! This is not an R-rated show, Chris.
Men are usually the guys that are greedy until they find a partner, and then they become less greedy. Because majority of men,
Business partner?
no, sexual partner. Lifelong.
Fornication? Are they married? What are we talking about?
We're talking about,
Are they married yet?
sure,
Okay. Did he know what he was marrying?
yes,
Okay.
a guy is more willing to become more charitable towards someone he loves, where it's being his wife. He's willing. When men are usually more willing to
Give in.
give in to make their partner happy, whereas it's been proven by data that I can't just pull out of my butt at the moment. I'd have
I don't think we'd want to see that data.
I'd have to do more research, but I have
Do
seen
research.
that second energy drink you need to not have. The first one I think's enough. The second one I think's ruining you. But what I was getting at is,
But
dear God, women are less likely, or usually less willing to give up their well, I'm done on this statement now.
But I agree. The woman in that scenario is not all of a sudden going to become greedy just to be with the guy. I'm guessing.
No, what I'm
it
saying
could happen, but I don't think that's going to happen.
And that is, she is actually less willing to become more charitable. She has,
Less willing to become more charitable.
because
The woman I laid out there couldn't be more charitable.
I'm not using your story. I'm using
woman.
using real life.
Sure.
Men are usually able to tone down for the woman that they desire, the woman they love, and children. Women aren't usually willing to do the same for the man, is where I was getting at.
Okay.
Women usually have a status of what they want, and that's...
And he has to go along
Yes.
with it. Is that what you're saying? Does success equal greed?
No.
So if someone wants to be successful, climb the corporate ladder, if you will, do they need to be greedy? To get to the top of the company, do you have to be greedy? To get what you desire, a job in this case, do you have to kick the others to the curb to get what you want?
Depends on where you're at. Depends on the...
Fortune 500 company, 1,200 employees. You are halfway up the ladder. You're making half of what the guys on the top floor are making. And you know the way up there. You know how to get to the top floor. But there's about 7 levels between you and there. To get there, are you going to wait around for 25, 30 years to get to the next floor? Or are you going to start moving and shaking? A greedy person is going to do what? Whatever it takes.
Yeah, to get to the top, whereas a not greedy person will do the time, do the work to get wherever they get. But if you're talking about if they're going to get to the top of that company, which is what a lot of people would see as successful, then majority of the time at a Fortune 500 company, yeah, they're going to have to be greedy. They're going to have to stab people in the back. They're going to have to want the best. They're going to have to look the best, because that the majority of the CEOs or the boards that run the company want to see somebody that is looking the best at all the times, acts correctly at all times, and
To get there the same way they did.
yes,
That's what they're looking for.
but also willing to give everything to make money for the company.
Yeah.
Which-
Greedy for the company.
Yeah.
There you go. There's an example of something I didn't think was possible. You can be greedy for the company. We were wondering how you be greedy for someone else. You can be greedy for the company. I didn't think that was possible until right now. Now I see it.
But
But if you take a guy that's very humble, very not comfortable, but willing to do the work, I think he'll get as far in that company that he needs to be.
okay, but here's my question then. Is it greedy for the guy to do his work, and his work is to make the most money for that company, if that is his job?
To be greedy for the company but not for himself?
Is it greedy because his job is to make the most profit for that company? Is he then greedy for that?
For the company. Yes.
Take the company out of it.
No. That actually proves a point we were talking about earlier, and I couldn't come up with an answer, and I think you kind of did. But that does prove a point that you can be greedy for something or someone, and still you're not necessarily greedy yourself.
But is that person wrong for doing his job?
On a ethical scale, yes.
On a moral scale?
Possibly. I don't know. I didn't write the rules. We're making this stuff up as we go.
That's
Possibility.
That's where I see this working the best. Is we don't really work. Well, we do work.
I work. I don't know about you.
Our discussions really aren't about the black and the white of it. We're in the middle of the gray, thinking about these things.
Right. Conversations.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't want to have these conversations.
I love these conversations.
I enjoy them as well. As long
Well,
as
I
can-
love them. You can love them.
Well,
Okay.
I say I like them because majority of the time when you're in those kind of conversations and you have somebody that thinks completely different of you, it usually isn't.
You're looking at me when you say that.
It usually is not civil. Majority it from one side.
Shut up, Chris. I'm making it uncivil.
One side or the other starts yelling and screaming
Or
and
playing with their pen, or
I
tapping
cannot
on the
help
table.
it. You know that I have to.
We took toys away from you today, Chris. We give you one where we thought you could draw, and you're not doing that.
I did draw. Thank you.
But
very
then you
much.
started flipping it around.
And is that
It's just like the bottle cap all over again. Salt on the chips. Salt on the chips.
It's not my fault. You can't handle a little.
You
bit
and your
of sodium.
greediness over salt.
I didn't
All right,
know it was gonna be
let's-
that big of a deal. Goodness.
Listen, guys, I don't like salt on my chips.
Extra
Chris,
salt.
Chris likes it.
I'm sorry. I like flavor.
I'm bland.
Yes. Yes, you are.
I'm very bland. All right. We do have to say this because we're contractually not occupied.
Obligated. What contract did we sign that we're contracted?
It's make believe, Chris. We're in make believe land.
We're not. We're in the real world.
Shut up. Don't
Ow.
tell.
See,
don't
that
tell 'em.
happened in the real world.
Say it again. Say it again.
I don't want to. That hurt.
Here's what we're going to say. If one of you listeners would want to text 615-330-3644 and text me the word greed, all caps. If it's not
No,
all
it doesn't
caps,
have to be
it
all
doesn't
caps.
work.
Yes, it does.
The only way it goes through, Chris,
You're being greedy.
it has to be
You're
caps.
being greedy.
If it's all caps, I'll use it. If not, well, good luck. You can call Chris's phone.
I ain't giving that number out. Last thing I need is more people texting me.
The word greed, and give us some future topics, and we will use one of them. I promise we will. And because I write the shows, and I'll write it in there. And what Chris wants to say, because he's drawing over there right now, is please share the program. We've been sharing it on some social media. We don't have a lot of social media in our lives, but I know you guys do. So if you could share this on your social medias and get it out there. Hey, our numbers are up. We appreciate you listening. Chris, you got anything?
Love to have more people listen to us, give us
Word.
feedback, leave comments,
Comments are good.
suggestions.
We like comments.
If you want to say something mean to us,
Say it to Chris. There's somebody there. Yay!
say it,
We got one.
Say it at both of us. I really okay. Not just me. It'll hurt my feelings too much.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna have a well, never mind. Tell them bye, Chris.
Have a good one. We'll try to do this again another time.
Yep.
See ya.